So with Stratus, and I'll give a little bit of my background. So I've been in the industry for about 23 years, primarily SCADA and automation in remote areas, field area networks, primarily upstream and midstream. And that's one of the reasons I came from Stratus, is because I was doing edge compute and doing those things out in the field for the last 6 or 7 years. And I took my licks out of the field because I was the guy who had to go fix stuff. I sent guys to go fix things, and I'll show you the importance of Stratus and how this all ties together. So a little background on Stratus. The company was started in 1981 as a hardware fault-tolerant based system in telecom, and then quickly moved into financial areas. So 90% of the credit card transactions that occur in the United States happen on Stratus hardware. Okay, where you need that fault-tolerant and those high available systems, that's where Stratus plays. We did have a third one that came out here on November 1st, but primarily we have a rack-mounted server solution. Traditionally, you're going to configure the memory, you're going to configure the RAM, you're going to configure what those processors are and such, and it's virtualization platform in a fault tolerant through the backplane and fault tolerant. Okay. Then what we have is our ZTC Edge products. This is where I would traditionally play. This is going to fit on a piece of DIMM rail. It's going to be IP40. It's going to have that high temperature spec. It's going to be 9 to 36 volts in with nominal power usage is about 35 watts in a fault tolerant manner. So you can virtualize your different applications, and you can run these out in the field, and you can pop these in a panel in West Texas, North Dakota, wherever that you need when you want to push things toward the edge. And we'll discuss as a panel what those other things may be as the conversation guides us. But in a nutshell, that is what Stratus is. Okay. So one of the things that I refer to is workload consolidation. And I'll describe it this way, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart because I've had to go into those areas. And as if you guys have ever been in oil and gas, or you've been in those other industries, you can spot the areas where, hey, that's the skid we did in 2016. Hey, there's a panel we did in 2018. Hey, we're going to spin up another project and we're going to land another box. Where workload consolidation is people, the industry has traditionally little boxed themselves to death on what those things are, with those applications. If I needed a new project, I spun up a new box. And the way I describe it, and I love my analogies, is that if you had your meal of your software applications and you had an entree of a SCADA thing or an automation thing, and then you had side dishes of cybersecurity and networking and such, the industry has traditionally put those on individual plates, and the way I describe it is individual paper plates. They take an $80 piece of filet and they put it on a paper plate. It leaks through, it breaks, things of that nature. 7 or 8 months later, I need to deploy a field engineer and he needed to go fix something, okay? With workload consolidation, instead of every time I want to do something new, I am landing a new box, or if I needed redundancy, I am landing 2 boxes and having them talk. Stratus is that one common plate that you can serve that whole meal on, and if I change my mind, I can go back to the buffet and I can get something different, and I can change those things by spinning up a new virtual machine. But again, all in a highly available 6 to 7 nines of availability to do those things. Okay? And so that is where Stratus fits. And then with edge compute, again, near and dear to my heart with latencies. Okay, I've seen the industry where when I started in the industry, we were completely out in the field. People had their own data centers, and then we had the advent of the cloud. We put a lot of those things in the cloud, which probably some of those things should have stayed closer to the asset. It was fine with 15-minute polling, but now that we see that the industry is, and again, grain of salt over a beer, they're asking for 1 second data. Okay. It's not on field area networks, it's not as that quick as, well, I'm just going to talk to things faster, okay? Because typical latencies between the edge and we'll just say your cloud instance is 130 to 150 milliseconds on a good day, sometimes 300 to 500. All right, and when you're talking to thousands of things, you just can't talk faster, and so that's where I see some of these applications are moving closer to the asset because of latency, because of reliability, because you can control what you're doing on those field area networks, processing it, and then spinning it up into the cloud. And that's where we talk about you're eliminating those bandwidth concerns because you're putting the compute closer to the asset, and it's a much more reliable connection. Okay? Okay, and then for the downtime, okay? Are all you guys familiar with nines of reliability? You guys know what those are? Yes? Okay. So some of the fields that I have been in, okay, when I went to a field out in Permian, they were 95%, okay? That is days of downtime, okay? When I got done with the field, when we put in a field area network, I'm just using this as an example, we got that field up to 4 nines of reliability, okay? That is minutes of downtime per year compared to days, okay? Stratus hardware platform is in the 6 to 7 nines of that reliability and availability, okay? So you're talking a couple seconds a year compared to some of the other pieces of hardware which I put out there that have been 99% or 3 nines, something along those lines. That's where Stratus plays. And where it was important for me was I didn't need to deploy a expensive $250 an hour guy to go fix something. With this, if something, a DIMM or an SSD or something goes wrong, they're replacing a module and it turns into my $45 an hour field tech guy of 15 minutes of popping something off the DIMM rail and then popping it back on. Okay? And then cybersecurity, there's different, that's a whole other can of worms, and probably could be another hour-long conversation, but we have those, you know, we're the latest and greatest of supplying those cybersecurity functions. So with scalable, that you can, it's very easy to spin up that to additional VM as long as you have it resourced properly. And I want a new piece of software, again, that's that plate analogy. If I want something to add something more to my dinner plate and I go back to buffet, I can put it on that same plate. I don't need to get a separate plate to do those things. And then also it's the supportability. You're supporting, for the most part, one hardware platform compared to what I've seen with a lot of edge compute platforms, where you might have 10 different vendors depending on who was ordering, what field it was, what they were doing. Okay, you want to be able to, how am I going to support that? How am I going to view what those things are?